Maya rents, Chris buys. They both think they made the smarter move. Maya believes renting gives her freedom. Chris believes buying makes him wealthy. They both have arguments. They both have receipts. And when you actually run the full numbers over 20 years, the answer might surprise you. Let's keep this fair. Maya and Chris are the same age, same city, same income. Both make $60,000 a year. Both have $15,000 saved. Both want a place to live. The only difference is what they do with their money. Maya rents a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,800 a month. Chris buys a modest home for $300,000 with 20% down. That means he puts $60,000 down. So let's adjust the numbers and make this realistic. Chris uses his $15,000, adds some savings from his partner, and buys a home with a mortgage payment that comes out close to what Maya pays in rent. On paper, it looks simple. Maya pays rent. Chris pays a mortgage. Maya gets flexibility. Chris gets ownership. But the real question is not what they pay each month. The real question is what they have left after 20 years. Maya likes renting at first. When the water heater breaks, she calls the landlord. When the AC dies, it is not her problem. When she wants to move to another neighborhood or another city, she can leave without selling a house. She has no property taxes, no roof repairs, no surprise bills for the furnace. Her life feels lighter. Chris, meanwhile, is dealing with homeownership from day one. He has closing costs, he has property taxes, he has insurance, he has maintenance, he has repairs. He has the mental pressure of knowing that if something breaks, it is on him. That first year, owning feels more expensive and more stressful. That is why many people assume renting is the better deal. But assumptions are dangerous. Because while Maya is renting, her money is not building equity. Every month, $1,800 leaves her account and never comes back. She gets shelter, yes. She gets convenience, yes. But at the end of the year, she owns nothing. After 10 years, she still owns nothing from all those payments. Chris's mortgage works differently. Every payment includes principal and interest. The interest is the cost of borrowing. The principal is building his ownership stake in the home. Slowly at first, then more meaningfully over time, part of his monthly payment becomes something he owns. That is the part renters usually forget. Over time, the mortgage balance drops. The home may rise in value. And even if the home does not skyrocket, Chris is still building equity through forced savings. He cannot spend that money easily, but it is being stored inside the house. Now, let's talk about the hidden costs on both sides. Renting is not free of inflation. Rent usually goes up, sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. A renter who starts at $1,800 a month may be paying $2,200 or more a few years later, depending on the market. That increase never stops. And every higher renewal rate makes it harder to save and invest the difference. Buying also has hidden costs. Property taxes rise, insurance rises, repairs come out of pocket, roofs age, appliances break. A house can drain money in ways that a renter never has to think about. But those costs are not pure loss. Some are part of preserving an asset that may still have value decades later. That distinction matters. A renter pays for use. An owner pays for use plus preservation plus ownership. The owner has more responsibility, but also more upside. By year 5, Maya may have rented 5 straight years and never had a major emergency. That feels good. Chris may have replaced a water heater, paid for a plumbing issue, and spent weekends dealing with maintenance. That feels bad. But Chris also has equity now, and Maya does not. If both of them had taken the monthly difference and invested it, the story would get even more interesting. Let's say Maya's rent is slightly lower than Chris's total monthly home cost, and she invests the difference every month into a broad index fund. That changes the math a lot. Suddenly, renting is not just renting, it is renting plus investing. In that case, Maya might build serious wealth without ever owning a home. That is the version of the conversation most people skip. Because buying a home is not automatically a wealth strategy if you compare it to someone who rents cheaply and invests aggressively. Homeownership only wins if the ownership benefits outweigh the costs, and the renter is not using the savings productively. That is why the real answer might surprise you. For many people, buying a home is not the fastest way to get rich. It is a forced savings plan, a stability play, and a lifestyle decision. For some people, that is enough. For others, it is not. Here is where buying usually starts to pull ahead. When the mortgage is paid down, the payment stops. Rent never stops. A homeowner can eventually live in the same house with only taxes, insurance, and maintenance. The renter has to keep paying market rent forever. That is a huge difference over 20 years. And if the home appreciates, the owner gets the benefit. If the neighborhood improves, the owner benefits. If inflation rises, the homeowner often benefits because the debt is fixed while the value of the asset may rise. Renters do not get that protection. They feel inflation directly through higher rent. Still, buying is not always better. If you buy too early, stay in the home only a few years, or stretch yourself too thin, homeownership can be a trap. Closing costs are expensive. Selling costs are expensive. If the market is flat or down when you need to move, you can lose money. If your job is unstable, locking into a mortgage can reduce your flexibility. If you are not ready to handle repairs, homeownership can become a burden very fast. That is why renting can actually be smarter in some situations. Renting wins when flexibility matters more than ownership. Renting wins when you can invest the difference consistently. Renting wins when buying would stretch you into a house you can barely afford. Renting wins when you may move in a few years. Renting wins when you want to avoid the risk of major repair costs. Buying wins when you plan to stay long enough for appreciation and amortization to matter. Buying wins when the monthly payment is manageable. Buying wins when you would otherwise spend the difference instead of investing it. Buying wins when stability matters. Buying wins when you want to lock in a housing cost that will not rise like rent does. So which one is better? That depends on one thing. What do you do with the money you save, and how long do you stay? That is the part that surprises most people. If a renter saves money but spends it, buying often wins. If a renter saves money and invests it, renting can win by a lot. If the buyer overpays, moves too soon, or takes on too much debt, buying can lose badly. If the buyer stays long-term, keeps costs under control, and lets the home appreciate, buying can create real wealth. The debate is not about rent versus mortgage. It is about discipline versus leverage, flexibility versus commitment, and short-term comfort versus long-term ownership. Maya and Chris both made reasonable choices. Maya got freedom. Chris got equity. Maya had fewer surprises. Chris had more upside. Maya could move faster. Chris could build slower wealth. Neither choice is perfect. Both can be smart. And that is why the answer might surprise you. For some people, renting is the better financial move. For others, buying is. The winner is not the one with the lowest monthly payment. The winner is the one whose housing decision fits their life, their timeline, and their financial discipline. So the next time someone says renting is throwing money away or buying is always the path to wealth, ask them the real question. What happens to the money that is not going into housing? Because that is where the real math starts.